Hey everyone, welcome back. Hope everybody had a great holiday. So, up today for a redo is this 1969 classic 32 Ford Vicky. This car was in a box of a whole junkyard full of stuff, and it was already apart, so I didn't have to drill the posts or anything. And I wasn't even able to save the posts to drill them out. So the car came apart, and the paint looked like it was pretty much cooked. So I decided not to give it a full submersion in a jar of paint remover. So I just slathered on some paint remover with a brush and let it sit, and just decided to take it easy on the casting. I wasn't sure what the zinc coating would be like underneath, so I have a small brass brush and just dipping it in some water to remove the rest of the paint. So as I said, this came in a box of junkyard stuff that I ended up winning on eBay on the cheap, and the wheels were toast. The axle springs are a little funky, so there's going to be some work done on those. But in the interest of time and doing a shorter video, I pick and chose certain things to show you guys here. So I normally don't show this part of the prep work that we do for getting these ready for a new life. So something like this, like I said, the paint was already a little crinkly and in pretty rough shape. We just put a little paint stripper and use a little container of water. Normally I will submerge these, most castings for 24 hours in a jar of paint stripper and let them sit. This way I'm pretty much assured that the paint will all come off. The other thing that I discovered while doing this model, or this particular casting, I've done the zinc plating with a little homemade setup that I saw from somewhere on YouTube. And this zinc plating didn't really look too bad. I saw some pitting, but I didn't see a lot of those black rash marks. I don't really know how you describe it. I guess where the oxidation really gets deep into the pits of the zinc coating. And I tried a new process on this. I have what they call a denim buffing wheel. It's actually got a little texture to it. It's a pretty heavy buffer. So I decided to use that instead of giving this a zinc coating in a tank. And you can see here the body's it's in rough shape, but it's not totally flawed. So you can see the post is damaged, and I had to file that down a little bit. But what I did anyway was I gave this a buff with a brass wheel and then some steel wool, and I used the denim buffing wheel on my drill press at about 750 RPMs with some stick polish, and I was amazed at how it actually buffed up. So we'll go into the next part of the process and show you the buffing wheel. Always use your safety glasses, especially with these softer these wheels, these wire wheels, because those little arms will certainly fly off. I've gotten them stuck in my cheek and in my chin. And always when you're using one of these wheels, please wear your safety glasses. So here I'm just taking off the heavy crud and the heavy layer of oxidation, and the brass wire wheel doesn't really scratch the surface like a steel wheel would. So it's not really removing any of the zinc, but it's helping remove some of the oxidation, and it does a pretty good job. So from here, that's when I was looking at it and I said, you know what, let me try this. I've never tried the buffing wheel before, the denim one. and I went for it. Unfortunately, I did not capture any footage of it. However, it's just a 6 or an 8-inch denim wheel. You can find them on Amazon pretty easily, and I'm pretty sure that's where I got mine from. So once I get this body in decent shape, it's on to getting the oxidation off of the body or the frame of the car. You can see those axle springs are pretty twisted. So all I do is I gave this and the motor a full bath in full strength CLR for about, I would say it's about 10 minutes. And what you want to be careful of with this is if you use full strength, is that you don't leave it in too long, because it will eventually, the reaction that happens between the oxidation and the chemical is that it will actually start to eat at the metal a little bit. So you can see there though, the oxidation does turn a charcoal gray, almost a black color, and that will come off on your fingers. I don't know why I'm not wearing 2 gloves here, but you don't want to keep that stuff on your skin for too long. So once you take it out of the dip of CLR, you just throw it in some water to stop the reaction, and you can see those black spots are where the heaviest oxidation was. And I gave the motor and the body a spin with the denim buffing wheel and the paste, or the stick wax or stick polish, and they both turned out great. So I don't know if that's really a shortcut to avert going into the tank for a zinc dip or not, but I was really happy with the body results after the buffing and polishing. So take that into consideration. And here I'm again using the brass wire wheel to get the heavy oxidation off, and you can see that the base actually does kind of springs to life a little bit, and then with the added bonus of the denim buffer, really came out pretty nice. So from here, you can see the side pipes were a little bent. I bent them a little bit with my finger just to get them in a better position. But from here, I actually move on to I have a steel block. So you can see they're still a little twisted. You can only do so much by bending them with your fingers. So you can see they're buffed up pretty well. This is before I actually hit it with the buffing wheel. So I just want to straighten those side pipes out a little bit. And I use this nylon mallet. It's actually used for like jewelry making and bending. It doesn't leave any marks, and it's got a little weight to it, so you don't have to swing it very hard. So I'm just tapping those bends to get them flat, and this works pretty well. You can do this. You could probably do this with a lighter, like they make those jewelers nylon, or it's like a double-sided hammer, a rubber side and a nylon side. But they usually aren't very heavy, so you might have to swing them with a little more intent. But I was happy with how that came out. And we move on to our next phase. So here is the actual polish and buff with that wheel. You can still see the dimples from some of the oxidation, but there's no real oxidation still buried or left behind that leave those little black specks in there. You can actually see my head in there. So I gave this one more pass with some steel wool and the buffing wheel before I went to paint. So I did not capture any painting. It's kind of my thing. I usually don't show painting because there's so many guys that show painting. I think we know who the go-to guys are for paint. There's a lot of guys that just paint really, really well. So this is the interior. The interior was in great shape. So was the glass. I was surprised considering that the body was separated and that the rivet was removed. So All I did here was a little Q-tip, a little Windex to get into the crusty corners and make sure those were cleaned up. And then I just give it a shot of Windex and clean it up with a paper towel. And I decided not to. Normally we would dip these in Future Shine, the floor wax. I decided not to because because it was in such good shape. So I left it as is. And I just snapped the dashboard back on to the little clip that's in there, and I left it alone. So once the heavy stuff is removed from the corners, then it's just a little extra cleanup to make sure it's in good shape. The ones that are really crusty and dusty, usually soak them with some soapy water and get in there with a toothbrush, but this wasn't too bad. So then we move on to the windscreen, if you will, and it was in really good shape. I gave it a very light buff with some polish and a cotton buffing wheel, just to get some of the light scratches out. And then this is our Pledge or Future Floor Shine Wax treatment. The other popular one seems to be Gauzy. I've yet to try it because I have a whole, like a 32-ounce bottle of this Floor Shine left, so I'm not going to move on to anything until I'm done with this stuff, and that could take me years at this rate. So a little dip, and you can see my butterfingers with my tweezers there. I shot the glass across the back of the workbench, and I got a little, I think I found a little fuzzy booger that I had to pick out with my finger here. Which is always fun. But she got a nice little treatment in the Future Shine, and then wick off the excess and leave it on the paper towel and just cover it so no stray dust or anything managed to land on that, because it does get quite sticky before it dries. And be sure to clean your tweezers too, because that Floor Shine stuff will stay on there and stick, and your tweezers will stick together. So here's our Vicky as we pulled it out of the box. And I chose not to go back with the original Spectraflame pink, so I did use a real Spectraflame color. I used Spectraflame from the Redline shop on this particular car, and I decided to go for the standard green with wheels by Bright Vision. And to secure the body and the frame, I just used some Gorilla Glue. Yeah, just regular Gorilla Glue. That was it. And you can see the reflection. It's pretty amazing how that came out without doing an extra treatment. You can see my head as that thing spins around. So I was never a fan of the wrinkle roofs that they put on with that flat black, that wrinkle paint. I think that's what they call it, wrinkle paint. So I did not put it on there. I just think they look better without that little black square on the roof. And there she is. I actually moved the camera around here to give you some aerial view and some side view. But I think it turned out great. I think the window looks great. And it was a pretty quick and easy project considering that it was already in pieces. There you can see the reflection. I think you can see my strip light. And it just really looks great in green. I just like the green Spectraflame. It's one of my favorites as a kid. And there she is for all to enjoy. And a little quick video for you guys to know that I'm still around here. So, got a couple things that I'm working on now. I may actually enter something in the Gasland free-for-all for the 3 blind mice, but haven't decided yet. I've actually started working on it. I don't know if I'll get it done yet. I'm not sure of my prowess, but I'm going to give it a shot. So that's it. 1932 Ford Vicky, Spectra Flame Green. Hope you've all had a great holiday. Everybody is safe. And until the next time, guys, keep liking and subscribing. I appreciate everybody that's done it so far. And I will see you soon.